This video is not for kids. This video may contain suggestive themes, graphic images, and triggering topics. Anything said within this video is for strict research purposes only. This channel nor this video condones any harassment or illegal activities from any reaction you may have from this content.
This is a Moonwalkers Chat Podcast, Unsolved Special.
What's up, Moonwalkers? This is a new segment on the MCP Moonwalkers Chat Podcast with just Mr. P and Dove Angel D, and this section is entitled Unsolved. Now, if you guys remember Unsolved, I've done many episodes about this, but now it's been incorporated into the podcast. So this is something interesting that you guys will want to check out and listen to, and it all starts here. Now, this unsolved crime that you're about to hear about is called the Keddie Cabin Murders, also known as Cabin 28, and this is one of the darkest crimes in the annals of American history. Now, this particular crime we're speaking about happened on April 11th, 1981, to Glenna Sue Sharp, her family, and a family friend. Now, Glenna Sue Sharp was the mother, age 36, her son John Sharp, age 16, and Tina Sharp, age 12, who was her daughter. Dana Wingate was the family friend, and he was the friend of John, who was age 17. Also in the house was Sue's sons, Rick and Greg Sharp, alongside their friend Justin, who was age 13 and 5. Also in the house alongside them was Sheila Sharp, her 14-year-old daughter, who spent the night out during this particular event. Now, Dove, I remember reading while we were studying for this that the next day on April 12th, the whole family, including the family friend, was found by the 14-year-old daughter, Sheila Sharp. That was the one that they said that had spent the night out the previous night when everything had happened.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, it's horrible.
I honestly wonder what happened, because according to the stories, they were saying that they were beaten with a hammer, a clawed hammer, and they were also stabbed to death. And the stabbings were so bad to the point that the knives that were found in the cabin were bent to the point that it looked like they put so much force into doing what they were doing.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a total slaughterhouse. What that little girl found in her house, and mind you guys that back at the time she didn't have a phone near her, so she had to run back to where she was staying that night and tell everybody in panic, my mom is dead, my brother's dead, and the neighbor was like, what? Wait, huh? So that must have been I don't know how that's even to find your family and your friend like that. Must be horrible.
It is. And according to a story that you had shared with me, that Sheila Sharp had helped the two younger, well, not the two younger brothers, the three of them, the two younger brothers and the younger child who was there staying with them, out through a back window.
Yeah. Yeah, because after it all happened, they were still at the house. So you have all those dead bodies in your living room, and you have two small children along with their friend in, the next side bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she was the one who got them out of the house. I guess to get them somewhere safe, or I don't know.
And something to this whole situation to me didn't sound right. I mean, they were trying to, in this documentary that we have watched, had said that there was many instances as to why this could have happened. They tried to label escorting as a reason. They tried to label drug deals as a reason. And they also gave another reason, stating that one of the killers may have potentially been sleeping with a 12-year-old girl, and he may have slaughtered the entire family just to get to her.
Yeah. That's the crazy part. That's where my head kind of goes in a million directions, because you don't know what people in the surroundings are talking about, whether they're truthful or not. I mean, you can label anything But what's weird to me, everything that went down, they must have been so scared. They probably were crying and shouting for help or whatever, but nobody heard about it. Nobody heard anything until the next morning when Sheila found them. That's the weird part for me.
It's really scary, though, to know that this particular situation that happened, nobody really knows exactly what happened. It's only been pure speculation, even though this investigation has been going on over, almost 40 years now? Because it's been since 1981.
Yeah. And the funny part, well, it's not even funny, but the interesting part of all of this is it's not even a close case. It's not like something, we can't resolve it, so we're just gonna, shove it somewhere under the rug. It's still ongoing, which is also a weird part to me, because every single part of whatever they found of evidence is kind of like destroyed. So, and the two main suspects are dead. So I don't know if they will ever, get those souls to have peace finally.
Now, the two suspects that you're referring to is Marty and Bo.
Yes.
Now, I remember in the documentary that we had watched, Marty, who I believe was married to a woman named Marilyn.
Yes, that's the mother of Justin.
Right, that's Justin's mother. And apparently Marilyn, her aunt is her name is Joan Andrews, and she had spoke to the documentary filmmaker, and she had said that Marty had told her about the murders.
Yeah, and he was acting funny, acting weird, and it almost seemed like he was on something, like he was high, which is also, kind of weird. But we don't know what went on, because it's kind of like, was there an affair going on? Was it about the two main suspects just being quote-unquote assholes and having their way with, the whole family, because the boys probably just tried to, how do you say that? They tried to defend, their mom and Tina. But then afterwards, we found out that Tina was missing.
Right.
They didn't find her until 2 or 3 or even 4 years later. And they only found her skull. So where's the rest of the body?
And that leaves you to wonder, because according to a rumor that was going on throughout that town, also said by, wasn't Joanne Andrews, it was, Tammy Hellenian. She had said that there was, something being stated that Marty or Bo was messing with the young girl, Tina, who was 12 years old, and it was rumored that one of them had gotten her pregnant. So it would honestly, to me, look as if maybe that's why her body was never found, because they killed her and pretty much desecrated the body to hide her pregnancy.
Right. And it's totally weird, because according to this documentary, Marty was a veteran.
Right.
And he had, I think mental issues. But to me, it sounds like he used that kind of like an alibi. He used his mental illness before he died, for police to think, he wasn't all there. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Like Marty was diagnosed as a person with PTSD, according to what they had put into reports.
Yeah. And Bo was this weird guy who we don't even know where he came from. But it looks like Bo was into this alleged drug ring or something, and something went wrong, because both of the guys went out that night to a bar to have some drinks, and then suddenly the owner's wife decided to change the music, and they didn't feel like listening to it because they were listening to country. So they went to this other place to have, let's say, the last drink, the last call, like this guy said.
Right.
And then after that, they went to the cabin. So they were already planning on doing this. It almost looks like, they had that in their mind, like this is when it's going to go down. They got drunk. They probably got high. And they just finished whatever was going on in their heads. Because you have to be really messed up in your head to do something like that.
To pull something off like this, you really do.
Yeah, excuse me. And even, the friend's family, Dana and John, they both got killed for no reason. Because they saw whatever was going on with Glenna and Tina, whatever they were doing to Glenna and Tina.
Right.
They saw that and they were like, oh, we have to finish off you guys too, because we can't have eyewitnesses.
And that stems into something that Marty had said to a counselor that he had went to. Because I don't know why it seems like this Marty character was building up towards some sort of mental illness defense. I mean, he was diagnosed with PTSD, being that he was a veteran. But that doesn't change the fact that I think he was building up this whole story, because he not only confessed to a counselor that he was having issues in his marriage, that he potentially might be headed for divorce from Marilyn, but he had written letters to someone stating that, oh, if Marilyn leaves him, he's gonna hurt her, or whoever Marilyn marries, he's gonna hurt them, or blah 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 blah. He just kept saying all of this stuff about different types of ways he would hurt people, and he ended up confessing a lot of what happened in that house to a counselor, and this counselor decided to speak for the documentary, and he revealed so much in 10 minutes that I never thought would have been revealed about this case.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy, and it's scary. I mean, you live there with your family, you think nothing is going on, you just go about your business, and all of a sudden, you wind up dead. You get slaughtered, and it was horrible. You saw the pictures.
I saw the
horrible.
pictures. And they weren't even there long, because they moved there to Keddie from Connecticut in November 1980. So they weren't there very long for anything to have transpired to make someone want to slaughter that entire family.
Right, which proves the point that something really, really messed up. Remember that Bo was there only like a month when all of this happened.
Right.
So this whole particular situation took place within a month of time. So what happened in that last month for them to get this way? And I think it's pretty sick, to be honest. I don't like to speak about dead people, but this is so sick to me, in my eyes. Like, how messed up are you in your head to, take advantage, allegedly, of a young little girl who, according to the documentary, was also a little bit slow.
Right.
So who knows what they told that little girl? Like, nothing happened to your mommy. We just helped her to get some sleep. And she was probably like, okay.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And the floorboards were not placed in the right place, according to Justin's mom, Marilyn, right?
Yeah.
And then they found that blue jacket with blood on it, but it was not only Tina's blood, it was also Marty's blood. So if Marty's blood was on that jacket, that's your evidence right there.
Not only that, they also left the tools there that they used to slaughter the family. The bent up knife, the clawed hammer, and the whole nine. They left all of those things there and apparently covered them with some sort of sheet. And I'm guessing they were gonna come back for those particular tools, because if you remember what Marilyn had said, who's Marty's wife, she had said that he was pacing around that right after all of that happened. She didn't know it happened, but then she kept hinting that she kind of knew. And she said he was pacing around saying that he had to go back up to Keddie. And she's like, no, you're not going back there. And he says, no, I got to go back. There's something I got to do. There's something I didn't finish. And she's like, no, you don't need to go there. If you need to do whatever you need to do, I'll take you up there tomorrow. And she said after a while, he kind of just stopped pacing around and just got quiet and didn't say a word to her. And I'm like, he was pacing around because he obviously was going back there to get those things they left in the house when they left and did what they did to Tina Sharp.
Yeah, and he eventually went at 4 o'clock in the morning, remember?
Right.
Which is weird to me because this lady, I can't think of her name. Do you know her name?
Which one?
The one who talked to Marty?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the weird-looking lady who said, who told the story about that Marty was pacing around and that he had to go back to Keddie, and she was like, no, you don't need to be going there because people are getting killed or something is happening there that night. I'm like, wait, hold on.
Joan Andrews.
Yes, thank you. Well, Joan Andrews, how do you know about that when nobody else did? I don't know. That's kind of suspicious to me.
It really is, because I don't know how she was able to say that. Maybe that was a slip-up, but then there was plenty of slip-ups from a lot of the people featured in the documentary, like with her saying that she told him don't go over there because people are being slaughtered, but then how do you know that? Not only that, slip-ups from the town receiver at the funeral home, or man.
Even the sheriff.
Yeah, even the sheriff had slip-ups,
yeah.
And you know how we are when it comes to slip-ups. Some people will be like, oh no, that was just an accident. No, there's no accident behind that, because you can't mistake shoebox for toolbox. I'm sorry, it's different.
Yeah. And the bone expert, where they took alleged Tina's skull for him to check out when she was dead or what happened to that little girl, because all they found was her skull and a couple of bones. They didn't find anything else. So this guy said they killed her after she died. Huh? How does that happen? How do you kill someone after they die? And of course it can be a slip up, but like, you got the whole other rest of the story. You got that correct. And it didn't sound to me like this guy would not know what he's talking about. So is it really a slip up, or is it like done intentionally? Like, you have to read between the lines.
And that's exactly what I want to do. Because let's look at some of these scenarios that they actually mentioned during our study session with this documentary. Because in the documentary, one scenario they had said that John Sharp and Dana Wingate hitchhiked the night of the murders, and they could have came back with the killers. Then another scenario was Tina Sharp was pregnant by either Bo or Marty. Another scenario was Sue Glenna Sharp, who's the mother, was either, I don't want to say this word because God rest the dead, but they were saying that she might have been a potential escort or prostitute, or had some acts of prostitution where she was sleeping with men for money. So they were assuming that there were strange men coming to their house all the time. And they used her being on welfare as an excuse as to why she was doing what she was doing, because at that time, being on welfare, receiving food stamps or anything was some sort of embarrassment. So those three scenarios right there is what they had provided to us as to what could have actually happened. And the one that actually stands out to me might be the fact that Tina Sharp might have been pregnant. And this is not factual. This is just me speaking from a human being's thinking perspective. I mean, it only seems like this could be, this could be what actually happened. Because why would they take her out of the house? They took her out of the house and her body was never found. Just her skull and a few bones. And it makes me wonder why her in particular. Everybody else was left, I don't want to say intact, because they were all dead within the house. The mother was found on the couch. The boys was tied up on the floor. It makes me wonder, what was their reasoning for taking Tina Sharp out of the house if that wasn't actually it?
I still can't wrap my head around it, to be honest. I mean, take a little girl outside. Maybe they said to her, like, you know what? Some bad guys did this to your family, Tina. You need to come with us. And since she probably saw the men's faces more than once, you know, she was like, okay, I'll go with you guys. And I'm just going on what they reported on Tina. If she was a little slow, she probably didn't even know what was going to happen to her. And in my personal opinion, in the pictures or the footage that they show, you remember seeing a jacket on the floor?
Yeah.
I think they put that there. So it would get, how do you say that, entangled with the other blood. So Tina's blood and Marty's blood wouldn't get, wouldn't stand out.
Right.
Because nobody else talks about that jacket. What happened to that jacket? They took all kinds of evidence. They took even the panels off of the wall because there were blood splatters on the walls.
There was blood splatter and knife marks. It's crazy.
Yeah. So they literally butchered those people for no reason. We still don't know what the reason was. But to me, this is a big, huge cover-up.
I think so as well. And you want to know what also makes it look like a cover-up? Because after all the years of investigation where people was able to go back to that house to take one more look and one more look and one more look, they eventually tore the cabin down, leaving no traces of evidence or anything that can actually be researched or investigated for future investigators to really find out exactly what happened at Cabin 28 in the Keddie Resort.
Exactly, and we can't forget the most important part of this whole story. Well, to me, it's a very important part. That Marty was friends with the sheriff back in the day. He even took him in his home. So he should have known about this. He would have known about this. Even his colleague, his best friend, who got all emotional and talking about his best friend. Oh, and if he would have done it, I would have, held his hand. I would have been there for him. I'm like, dude, are you all there?
He was a demolition expert.
There you go, demolition expert. That was Marty's best friend. So that's kind of weird, Supporting, even if it's your best friend. I'm like, you're my best friend, but if you would be freaking like that, I would be like, oh, hell no.
I'm not involving myself with that. I would turn your ass in so fast.
Right.
Call me a snitch if you want to, but wrong is wrong. I mean, the fact that this happened to these 4 people, especially these children, this honestly, to me, is what's going to go down as one of the worst mass murders in American history, because this was an entire family slaughtered, and nobody will ever figure out the reason why. And this case is always going to remain unsolved.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, because even Dan Doris, who was the one who identified the bodies, which is also a weird thing to me, because why would the police inform him rather than show up at the neighbor's house where Sheila was staying? Like, something happened to your family. We don't want you to see, but this is what happened. Something bad happened, and, we're going to need someone to identify the bodies, and since you're a little girl, we need someone who's a grown-up. I would understand that part, but why would they directly go to someone else? And why did Justin get put under hypnosis without anybody's consent? He was just a little kid. The mother didn't sign for it. He sure as hell didn't say, like, oh, I agree with you guys putting me under hypnosis. You don't know what people put in your heads when you're under hypnosis.
Exactly.
And was it Rick or Greg that we heard the little, amount of tape where he only says hello, and all of a sudden the tape goes blank?
Oh, that was Rick.
Right. He was still 13 at the time. they called him in for interrogation, like, what did you see, or did you see anything, did you hear anything? And the kid was asking, what am I supposed to say? And they tell him, just say hello. He says hello, and the tape goes blank.
That's it.
Now, Justin was allegedly writing a book along with another guy, right? That book, I don't know if that ever came out, but he's always alleging back to that book, like, oh, you're going to find out. I'm going to spill my beans right there. But as far as I know, I haven't Googled it. Sorry, my bad, but I don't know. I never saw anything about, Justin stating or, making a true declaration, of what happened. Because according to what he said to the police, like, he was looking through a small crack through the door and he saw everything. He even repeated the alleged killing scene with his younger brother. When Marty and Bo were over at Marilyn's house, they were like chilling on the porch or something, and the kids were playing on the ground. And all of a sudden, Justin gets on top of his younger brother, and he goes like, this is how you do it. This is how you kill someone. Oh, you need to put your arm here to stop me. And all of a sudden, if you remember, Daryl, Marty took Justin outside the house, and nobody ever knew what Marty told Justin. If I was the mom, I would be right there. Like, why the hell did you need to, jerk up my son like that from the floor, drag his ass outside, and talk to him one-on-one? Like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
And Marty even threatened her other daughter, who was sent somewhere else on a bus. She was put on a bus to her stepfather's house, and all of a sudden she gets a call, a mysterious call, the day after everything happened. Like, you better shut your mouth because you could be next.
I remember that.
Like, what the hell's going on? Yeah.
And then to cover up the fact that she was threatened, everybody knows that it was either Marty or Bo, and both of them mysteriously vanished and disappeared. Like, I remember them saying that Marty eventually ended up leaving the state and moving to Portland, Oregon, but they covered it up and said that he died in 1997, when in fact he was alive till 2000.
Exactly.
That's how you know it's a cover-up. You know it's a cover-up.
Yeah, and it's very convenient, for both of them to be dead. Bo is dead and Marty's dead. All the evidence is gone. Now, I said to Daryl, how come they didn't do any DNA testing? Of course, I didn't know. This was in 81, and DNA testing started in 84. But they still kept all of those, let's say, quote-unquote, little proofs or pieces of whatever they could find. And the stuff that they got blood on, I read on this website that they put it in a freezer, to keep it in the state that it was, like for, I don't know, further investigation maybe, or for the next deputy / sheriff to take over the case.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the plug gets torn, well, not torn, they took the plug out. So the freezer stopped whatever its work was doing. So it went to hell.
The samples were destroyed.
Yeah, everything is gone. Even the cabins, and I think, did they say like 20? Or a couple of next door houses were condemned, quote unquote, and they kind of like tore the whole part down.
Yeah.
Not only cabin 28, but a couple of houses, that were probably next to it.
They did.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with this case, and if they will ever find, what the truth is. Even though they can't do anything, but at least for the ones who believe in stuff like that, give their souls peace at last, because this is no way for people to go out like that, and for your soul to have peace. It's there's no way possible.
It's not. And it'll eventually give the surviving children who were there in that house that night peace finally, because it was their family members who were lost.
Yep, and also Sheila's.
So hopefully one day this crime will be solved, and we'll be coming back and giving an update, hopefully stating that it was solved. But right now, this was the MCP Keddie Cabin Murder Cabin 28 chat, and we will be back with another true crime unsolved episode of the Moonwalkers Chat Podcast, y'all.